Today, we're looking at video cameras. You need to use video in order to do some book trailers, in order to do video blogs, in order to do interviews with writers, if you want to have video as well as audio, if you want to do a video podcast. If you don't, then you just need your audio equipment. I've been involved in retail and wholesale cameras for ages and ages and ages. The first thing I'm going to tell you is that if you have a cell phone that does at least 2K video and will record at least 10 or 20 minutes, that's probably enough to get you started. You will need an adapter to hold it to a tripod. You don't have to worry about sound if you have your sound equipment set up. If you have your SMV7 mic, your AKG C214, or your Blue Yeti connected to your computer with software, they should stay in sync. You may have to modify their speeds. There are two speeds for recording, 44.1 and 48. You may have to modify that in order to keep it in sync. This is a bit of trial and error you're going to have to do. This is how this works. But you can possibly use cell phones, iPhone or an Android, in order to do your videos. If you don't, or if you want to go to a higher quality, the first thing I would recommend are the GoPros. Right now, entry level on a new one is the GoPro 8. It's starting to go out and the 9 is starting to come in, but the GoPro 8 is still viable. It's only $300. It's 12 megapixel. It does 4K at H.2.64 and H.2.65, which is very good. It also does 2K and 1K. It has wave audio. The GoPros, however, do not fit on a tripod, so you have to either buy a tripod adapter or get one of the GoPro grips that connect to your table, or use the sticky. I use the sticky when I do my cooking videos. I use it overhead, and I mount the GoPro overhead because it's waterproof. So steam coming up from the water is all it's going to do is fog up the GoPro lens, and I can just wipe it with a clean cloth. The GoPro works great overhead. At $300, you can get at least two if you're going to do interviews, one for you and one for the person you're interviewing. If you're doing a round table and you can really afford it, get 4 or 5. Get one for each of the people at the table. Get an additional one to catch the whole table, maybe 2, catch it from 2 different sides. But we're talking a lot of money here. We're talking 3, 6, 9, 12, $1,200 to do a round table, maybe $1,500. However, you can also find used GoPros like this one here that I saw on eBay for $85, and it even has a 1-year protection plan from Allstate, and it is the GoPro 5, and it is 4K, and it is $85, and you can buy it now. You will find deals like this on eBay all the time, and it has free shipping. Here we have a GoPro 7 refurbished, and this is at Black Market. This is another site. This one here is $190 for a GoPro 7. You can get these and mix and match them. It's got a 12-month warranty, and maybe they have other refurbished deals that you can find there. So as you can see, if you look really hard, you can get going cheap. I bought my first GoPro at Walmart for I think $50. It was an old one. It's like a GoPro 3 or something like that. It's 2K, and it's good enough for me. After this, we're going to DSLR cameras. I picked out 3 Canon cameras, basically because they're the cheapest. The DSLR cameras today can go up to $3,500. You don't have to go with a Canon. You can go with a Pentax. You can go with a Fuji. You can go with a Nikon. You can go with a Sony. They're all great cameras. The reason I like the Canons is that several professional video cameras that cost between $4,000 and $30,000 will take the Canon lenses with a flange, and they won't necessarily take Fuji lenses. Some of them will take a Nikon lens. Nikon and Canon have lenses that go back into the last century. Canon has lenses going back to the 1980s for their film cameras, and they will work on these cameras with a magnification factor of 1.6 because these cameras are APS-C, whereas the old Canon film cameras were full frame cameras. These are half frame cameras. So there's a 1.6 magnification factor. So if you have a 50 millimeter lens, it's more like an 85 or a 90. If you have a 135 lens, it's more like a 220. If you have a 35 millimeter lens, it's more like a 50. These old Canon primes and the Nikon primes, and Nikons go back to 1959 with the Nikon F. They won't work automatically. They're manual. Sometimes they will need a flange. But these older lenses were made in Japan. They are computer designed. They have metal barrels, and they're multi-coated. Today's lenses are generally made in China. They have plastic barrels, and they're assembled on an assembly line. This first camera here, this is our entry-level one. It's under $400, $380. It's the EOS Rebel T100 DSLR. This is a camera that you can look through the lens. It has a mirror, which means it makes a lot of noise, but you can look through the lens as well as look through a screen in the back. It is 18 megapixels. It has APS-C. It does HD only. That's 2K. It records for almost 30 minutes. Has LPCM audio, mono internal audio. Has a mini HDMI out. Has a 1/8 inch TRS stereo mic input, but that really only works for like a Tytac mic. You want to use your audio setup that we talked about before with your Blue Yeti and the computer, or your AKG or Shure mics with the preamps or the mixing boards. It has a USB micro data output, a Canon E3 input. It does Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. Streaming is possible via the HDMI output. The next camera we're going to look at is the Rebel SL3 with an 18 to 55 millimeter lens at $750. This one is 24 megapixel. It is also 4K. It does 3840 by 2160 in the American standard of 23.98 or the European standard of 25 frames per second progressive. It also does 2K and it also does 1K, including slow motion at 50 and 59.94. It has AAC audio. It does stereo internal audio recording from a microphone, but you don't really want to go with that, but you use it to get your clapstick. This is the interesting part. It has 10-bit 222 40 by 96 by 2160 at the American standard 23.98 output. This is for direct broadcast. This is for recording to an external recording device that will handle it. And this is 10-bit color, not 8-bit color that these cameras usually work at. These cameras all have 14-bit data, but their color is usually only 8-bit, and it is either 420 or 422. This also has the stereo mic input, the micro B data output, the Canon E3, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi. It has 5-axis digital video stabilizer. Our final camera entry here is $700. It is the Canon EOS M50 Mark II. It is mirrorless. These are the new cameras. They are more compact, they are smaller, they are not as noisy because they don't have a mirror that flips up, but it also means you don't have a pentaprism and you're not looking through the lens optically in an analog fashion. This particular camera has a secondary electronic viewfinder, much like movie cameras have, where they have the flip screen on the side and they have a viewfinder on the top. I've also seen some mirrorless cameras that have a clear view rangefinder with a lens on the side that looks directly at the subject, and that might also help for focusing. But some of these mirrorless cameras have only the back screen, and that can be a problem if the back screen goes. This has basically the same specs as the EOS Rebel SL3, except it does not have the 10-bit 222 4096 by 2160 color output through the mini HDMI. It has regular 8-bit color. It does not have the Canon E3 2.5 millimeter input. This one is $700. This is our mirrorless camera, and we're here under $1,000 with a lens. These aren't bodies only. You can find other cameras at comparable prices, like I say, Pentax, Nikon, Fuji, Sony. The big thing is their lenses may not fit more professional cameras, but you may never buy a professional camera. So we have these units here. You really need somebody to operate these Canon cameras, or you turn them on yourself and you pre-focus it manually. You sit there with it. The GoPros, they don't require focusing as long as you're at the right distance from it. As long as you're not, 2 inches from the GoPro, it will stay in focus. It's a fixed focus lens. They're usually wide angle. Some of them are very wide angle. They will catch your whole room. They will catch your whole round table. And some are normal focal length. They are used for head and shoulders and close-ups. So this is what we have in cameras. Plus you have your cell phones. You're looking at $300 to $400 to buy into a new camera, and you're looking at $85, $100, $190 to get a reconditioned or a used camera, and that will get you started. It should sync up with your audio, and this is our look at cameras. And remember, in America, you can buy these cameras at Adorama Camera, Amazon, Best Buy, BH Photo, Black Market, eBay, Sammy's Camera, Target, Walmart. If you found this program informative, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here, I discuss the nuts and bolts of writing and publishing, editing, cover creation, copyrights, picking a self-publisher, making a website, putting books into stores, how to get your manuscript before agents and publishers. And I add new content all the time. So have a good writing day.